My name is Teresa White. I'm a senior English major, and last spring I completed a project analyzing two major novels from the Harlem Renaissance, Their Eyes Were Watching God and Passing. I focused my analysis on the novel's main characters, Janie from Their Eyes and Irene and Clare from Passing, because they have something important in common. All of those characters are light-skinned, mixed-race Black women. This interested me, but it took me a while to realize its significance. In America, we have a tendency to flatten our conception of Black characters into a composite. You might call it a single story, to quote Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. In doing so, we fail to acknowledge that each character's experience of Blackness is uniquely affected by any number of factors, including lightness of skin and social class. As the scholar Raphael Walker put it, Larson did not make her characters biracial only to lighten their skin and thereby endow them with the cultural cachet denied darker women. In other words, bi or multiraciality have significance beyond the privilege associated with light skin. And that's true for Zora Neale Hurston's novel as well. So all of this has to do with the binary model of race, which has been enforced in America for centuries. Under this model, racial purity is not only possible, but must be protected. One can be either white or Black, but there's no in-between, and certainly no both and. You might be familiar with the one-drop rule, where one drop of Black blood, whatever that means, makes one Black. That's where this comes from. James Baldwin once wrote that America became white because of the necessity of denying the Black presence and justifying the Black subjugation. Put another way, whiteness creates itself through an idea of Blackness, and it needs that idea to be stable and predictable. But people like Janie, Irene, and Clare, who are multiracial and Black, defy these rules. And the result is that multiracial Black people face a unique type of stigmatization and erasure. So ultimately, the question that I wanted to answer with my research is this: how do Janie, Irene, and Clare cope in a society whose commitment to the race binary erases and stigmatizes people of mixed race descent? I found that each character's approach is distinct and is reflective both of her setting and of her conception of the right way for Black people to exist in the world. Janie, from Their Eyes, accepts the privilege her light skin affords her. She is aware of colorism, but doesn't feel conflicted about her identity. This has much to do with the novel's setting, which Hurston populates almost exclusively with Black characters, and with Janie's skin color, which is light enough for her to benefit from colorism, but not so light that she can pass as white. Janie's identity is unambiguous enough, and her setting homogeneous enough, for her to settle comfortably into a privileged role in the Black community. Meanwhile, Irene, from Passing, is able to pass as white, but chooses to live in Black society. Mostly. Passing's setting is urban and has a white bourgeois presence. This means that Irene is confronted with the option to pass every day. Sometimes she does even take it, but only on what she would consider insignificant occasions. This is because Irene values the race binary as an organizing principle for society. But finally, we have Clare, also from Passing. Clare is a very light-skinned Black woman, and unlike Irene, her public life is lived exclusively in white society, and her private life for that matter. She keeps her multiracial Black background secret from the white man she marries, and she spends many years estranged from her Black family and friends until she reconnects with Irene. Then she finds herself unable to resist rejoining Black society in secret. According to scholar Sammy Schock, this liminal movement of Clare's is an example of transing. And to trans identity boundaries, as defined by Susan Stryker, Paisley Curra, and Lisa Jean Moore, is to actively move among and within multiple social spaces and activities. This is a subversive act. So it's not Clare's choice to pass into white society that makes her exceptional. Rather, it's that she's unwilling to let go of her Black identity, though she seeks the material advantages of white society. This, as you can imagine, makes her ill-suited to America in the 1920s. Schock writes that in a realist novel such as Passing, there's no way for her to continue transing. And indeed, Clare dies at the end of the novel mysteriously, while Irene looks on with relief, guilt, and horror. It's a striking statement on the reality of life for multiracial Black women. Stay on one side of the line or face destruction. I've shown here that the Black women of Their Eyes Were Watching God and Passing are impacted by their mixed race backgrounds in ways that go much further than the privilege associated with light skin. This illustrates the true significance of multiraciality in the Black literary canon. If we fail to appreciate this, we risk simplifying the vast range of Black experience. As Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, the scholar who first developed the theory of intersectionality, wrote, "The problem with identity politics is not that it fails to transcend difference, but rather the opposite. If we want to cultivate a nuanced and humane discussion of race, we need to remember that, and not least in our literary analysis. Thank you.